Seeing that I already reviewed episode 1 of The Walking Dead, and also I don't really want to spoil too many of the surprises in The Walking Dead story, I just want to briefly explain the story here real quick for The Walking Dead, the video game. The story here follows a character named Lee Everett, who in the beginning of the game is being driven in a police car because he committed a crime and he's going to jail, but luckily a zombie comes by and the police car crashes into it and they get sent into the forest. The police guy dies, but he survives, and of course he finds out that everybody is a zombie. He quickly rushes out of there and finds a little girl named Clementine in a house all by herself. And of course, Lee, being a nice guy, he decides, I'm going to take Clementine under my own wing. I'm going to protect her. She's been here for a couple days by herself. Her parents are gone. I feel bad for her. I'm going to take her. And they start to form, of course, a father and daughter relationship. And it's really nice to see. Of course, later on in the episode, the first one and the second one, third one, they meet other survivors and they start to form relationships too. And throughout each of the 5 episodes, there's plenty of conflict, dramatic material, survival and action aspects, and so much more bonding with characters. It really is a game about bonding and then seeing some of these characters go away pretty much. And I love it. I love this story so much. And yes, I will admit, I cried a little bit. And not many games make me do that. So Telltale, I congratulate you on that aspect, and I also congratulate you on the writing, because there's so many characters in this game and each one of them has their moment to shine, and some of them even have a few moments to shine. From the beginning of episode 1 to the end of episode 5, you get so many different characters, either lovable or hateable. Either one. I mean, not every character needs to be lovable in the game, but you really do start caring for these characters. In some way, even the hateable ones you do start caring about, and a lot of them do get killed off. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. They do get killed off. It's Walking Dead. You should expect that. And like I said, the writing is so well done here. It can balance from being very peaceful at times to being very hostile and very tense. Like there's one scene in episode 3, I'm not even going to spoil it, that is so intense with its conversation. It really is. And the payoff is, oh God. But really what seals the deal and puts the cherry right on the top and makes it one of the best stories in video game history is the relationship between Lee Everett and Clementine. It really is a father-daughter relationship, and you really feel that. It resonates in this game. It really does. When I was done with episode 5, I wanted to go all the way back to the beginning of the game, play it all the way through again, and experience that relationship alone. Everything else was amazing, and I wanted to experience that as well. But that part, if that was the only thing that was good in this story, I would still think it was an amazing story. But everything else is so good as well. I have to say it's probably one of the it probably is the best story in video game history, in my opinion. So really, do I need to say overall? Do I really need to say overall? Well, I'm going to say anyway. Overall, this story is phenomenal. Absolutely groundbreaking for video games. So yeah, let's go on to the sound finally. But now let us talk about the sound, which I will not stop here with the praise, because sound for this game is phenomenal. Sound design and soundtrack wise is really good. Sound design maybe a little less so because it's not really a game, so you're not really reacting with the sound like shooting a gun or something, but it is very well done. The soundtrack really adds to that spooky feel and sometimes sad feel, which is very good as well. Especially that ending song, which but while that stuff is great, the one thing that really just blew my mind with the sound is the voice acting, which in a way is the reason why I love this story so much, because the writing is fantastic, but the voice acting really adds so much emotional depth to these characters, especially, let's say it again, Lee and Clementine. Lee is voiced by Dave Fennoy, and Clementine's voiced by Melissa Hutchison, and they both do an amazing job here, especially Melissa Hutchison. The only reason why I say that is because she's like a 35-year-old woman. I think she's a mom, and she could do a perfect 8-year-old, and she does a great job. I think she's amazing in this game. And of course, Dave Fennoy as Lee is fantastic here as well. I love that guy, and I love his dreads. Those dreads are awesome. And the rest of the supporting cast does a phenomenal job of voicing each one of their characters and really adds a lot of emotion to each one. So overall, I think the sound here just adds so much to the story. It really does. It's phenomenal as well. So there you go. The sound is fantastic. But now let's talk about the graphics, which graphically this game is not a powerhouse. It's not a Far Cry, Crysis 2, Halo 4. It's not, but it goes for a much more comic book, cel-shaded look to all the character models and environments, and for the most part it does look really good. Now the environments themselves, if you look real close, they look very drab, especially some of the trees and some of the other forest areas. You can definitely tell like it repeated it, and it doesn't look that great. So yeah, the environments aren't great looking, but I do think they look good enough. What What I do love about the graphics, however, is the character models, because all the character models don't have that problem like the environments do, where there's no muddy textures. They're very well detailed. There's a variety of them, either regular character models for, the characters or the zombies themselves. I think everything looks great for the character models, especially the animations. When it gets to facial animations, whenever they show emotion, I think that's very impressive. So while the graphics aren't pristine, amazing quality, I think the character models are very well done, and I think the environments for the most part are decent enough. But now let us talk about the gameplay, which Walking Dead the video game is a very story-based game, but it does have its fair share of moments where you actually can play. Now, for the most part, it is a conversation game, kind of like Mass Effect, where you can pick your own little decisions and like say this or that, press X to say this, press A to say that, press B to say that, whatever. And each one is definitely going to give you a different response from whoever you are talking to, and it is really cool to see how people will react to what you say. And yes, for all you gamers that like to do this, you can be a complete dick throughout this entire game. Yes, you can. You can, my good sirs. Well, my asshole sirs. Now, besides that, even though that is the most important part of the gameplay, there is parts where you have to like move the cursor over and like fight off a zombie before it bites you, or you have to press the A button rapidly and then press the X button to get a zombie off of you. Hell, there are even moments where you get a gun and you have to either snipe people or shoot zombies and stuff, and those parts are actually kind of cool as well. My favorites are when the zombies actually attack you and you have to press the A button rapidly to get them off. Those feel immersive for some reason, like they're like really trying to get you and you're really like, oh, you're all tense and stuff. Sometimes they actually scare the hell out of you because they come out of nowhere, and I think, that really works. And while some adventure fans will be a little disappointed that there's not that many puzzles in the game, there are a couple, but they're pretty easy. I wasn't, because I was there for the story and I loved it all the way through. So overall, I'm just going to wrap it up here and say, even though it made me feel tense, it made me feel emotion, and it made me cry like a little bitch, I had a pleasure playing this game. I loved it to death. And Telltale, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't release the next season very soon, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you for breaking my heart so many times. But anyway, there you go. This is so much better than Jurassic Park. I'm going to tell you straight up right there. I love this game, and I'm sorry. I know I sound like a broken record, but guess what I'm giving it? 10 out of 10. This one definitely deserves it. It really does. It's an amazing experience from start to finish. Go play it now. Thank you and goodbye.
A killing cat.